I'm noticing some new wines here at Crystal Basin Cellars, and we're all over the state, and these are wines that I'm not accustomed to seeing, especially in this neck of the woods.
There's like 6,000 grape varietals.
Right,
and I think
right.
in California, we might make wine out of a couple hundred at tops.
Right.
And what dominates the whole thing is Cabernet and Chardonnay
Right.
and Merlot. And that's fine because those are recognizable brands.
Sure.
But man, there's a lot of flavors out there.
Right, there really are.
And
Yeah.
so we've taken some opportunities. I like teaching because, it's like, think about the flavors you taste when you put spices in food.
Right.
And there's more to it than 3 flavors of oatmeal. I swear to
Right,
God.
yeah.
you can go deep on this stuff and go after caviar if you
Right,
want to.
right.
I like salt.
Sure. Yeah.
But we are doing some new wines, and so these wines both had really great results recently. And one of them is Fiano, and so it's very low production. There's 18 tons in the entire Sierra foothills.
Oh, wow.
From Yosemite to Quincy.
Oh, wow.
18 tons of grapes. And so we got about 10% of that.
Wow.
And won a gold medal. And so that's really the message. Is that, Fiano is a grape from southern Italy. Not a lot, so not a lot of chances to taste it.
An Italian wine.
It's an Italian wine. And there's another one that I'm going to show in a minute. And those elements we're only going to find out what grows well in the Sierra foothills over about the next 400 or 500 years.
Right.
Because it really takes that long for Chianti to develop, right? Or Bordeaux to figure out that Cabernet and Cabernet Franc and Merlot grow out there. And so that kind of area that, matching up with what grapes grow there is very much underway in our region because it's new.
Right. So you got to grow it to know it, right? I mean, kind of.
Right. When you got to do a few different generations of winemakers to, kind of do whatever they're doing, because 800 years is, pick a number of generations.
Right.
16 generations?
That's quite a few.
More than that.
Yeah.
And I might end up at some point, being related to American Indians if I go back that far.
Right. Yeah. Well, probably.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, making these other wines, sharing other flavors, is what we call teaching wines.
Teaching.
And so I'm going to
wines.
open another wine here.
Okay. All kinds of new wine here at Crystal Basin. This is great.
So this is a wine called Nebbiolo.
Nebbiolo.
And so Nebbiolo is
Nebbiolo.
Yeah. So I'm going to test your Latin here. You ready?
Yeah, it's not very good.
You're a learned guy. How many years?
35.
Okay,
Who's
so
counting?
Your Latin's got to be pretty good.
Okay.
So what is the Latin root for the word cloudy?
I would say clouds, maybe, or something.
Nebulous.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
If something's it's kind of nebulous.
Right.
It's not necessarily a White House press conference.
Right.
Sometimes it's actually the nebulous, the aspect of clouds over these vineyards. And so these grapes originated over in northern Italy, and wine aficionados will know them as Barolo and Barbaresco. And those are two very small villages, kind of like Camino and Plymouth, literally.
Sure. Yeah.
And those two styles of Nebbiolo grapes made into wines over in Italy, it has to be named after the area.
It does. I've heard that before. Yeah.
And that's why it's hard to translate wine information kind of from European to American, or what they call New World. Nebbiolo, you'll never see it from Italy. You'll see Barbaresco, Barolo, some other smaller environment, kind of regional labels. But we market things very differently in here because. Can you imagine if wine was sold by its area name?
Oh, wow.
And everything coming from south of Sacramento was called Lodi?
It
wouldn't really give people enough to work with, right? There's a lot of grapes being grown down there as well.
Sure. Yeah.
So this is just a 2020. It's being released today as part of our futures release party. It's getting great reviews, and we're happy to have a new wine in our portfolio.
Yeah. Well, and that's got to be exciting, because that gives you something to kind of play with as you're making it, right? And experiment. And I know you're like a mad scientist in the kitchen, right?
Well, we never know what we're shooting at. And so the good thing about this is it develops into its own thing.
Right.
I'm going to use your comparison on this one, or here's the comparison you get. It's like your kid. You know what it kind of ought to be, maybe.
Right.
And it kind of does its own thing anyway.
You're keeping your fingers crossed.
You might have had one of those.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I've met your kids, actually. They're pretty styled up.
Yeah. My son, but he went through a phase where I was starting to wonder.
And you can't imagine what they're going to be when they're a mature adult versus a teenager. That's that aging process affects wine as well.
We all mature, right?
I'd like to my
Well,
wife.
some of us.
My wife argues against.
Yeah,
that,
mine does too. So, that's great. Of course, tell us again. This wine. This is new in the portfolio.
Nebbiolo.
Nebbiolo.
And that's from northern Italy, and the Fiano is from southern Italy.
Okay.
And I can give you food pairing information on this one. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what food this goes with, Rex?
I would say seafood. I would say fruit. I would say something. Summery.
Southern Italian food.
Southern Italian food. There you go.
That's what it goes with.
I got too esoteric again.
Yeah, you know what this goes with then? Work with me.
I'm saying anything you're going to eat tonight.
Northern Italian.
Northern Italian food. So as long as you're having Italian
pairings are easy, man. I'm telling you.
As long as you're having Italian food, both these wines will.
Don't agonize over pairings, right?
Yeah. Now let me ask you this quick question, okay? Because this is a question that's been on my mind for some time, especially for you. Do people sometimes stress a little too much about what to pair wine with as far as food?
Yeah. No one really cooks like Julia Child or Guy Fieri. I mean, that's just not how we live, right? There's things where you want to dip into your if you're having lasagna and it's a big tomato bomb and with some garlic and stuff in it. Hey, Zen Mourvèdre, perfect.
Right.
If you're doing the carnivore thing, okay, that's easy.
Yeah.
But if you wait until you're eating, pickled wild boar to have this raw, and you might be a moron, right? Because it doesn't help you. The thing is, the way you taste wine at a winery is completely different than how you try it.
Right.
Because what happens? You and Mama come to the tasting room. You have 4, 5, 6 wines.
Sure.
Swirl, you sip. You have a nice fun argument. Whatever. You go home.
Right.
Some wine. Fine. When you're home on Thursday, you don't open 6 bottles of wine and argue about it.
No.
You just have wine.
Right.
You pop a bottle of wine. This is lovely, or it's not, right? Yeah. But the deal is, it's not this comparison thing that goes on at the tasting room. It's really different.
Right. Yeah. The thing I think is it's kind of like golf. Okay, you go out and play golf with some guys, and some people take it a little too seriously, like they're going to be playing in the PGA pretty soon, and we both know they're not. Their game isn't there, and folks with wine kind of get into that same thing of, enjoy the wine. Whatever you're eating, that wine's probably going to taste great anyway.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. I think that I'm glad that my wine game is better than my golf game.
There you go. I have no golf game, and wine game I depend on other people.
You're learning lots. I see you out there talking to all kinds of people.
Trying. To me, it's a never-ending process. So you're never going to know everything. Right?
You cannot. No, and there's a new approach. There's a new player. There's a new vineyard. There's a new grape.
There's new wines.
A new hundred. And so all those things add to the tapestry of the rich tapestry of wine or juice.
I think so.
Like to call it.
Yeah, the juice.
Yeah.
And I don't think you go wrong by just experimenting, by tasting different wines that a new wine like this one or a new wine like this one that you haven't tried before, to open up yourself to new experiences, right?
Well, when you go wine tasting, you don't have to get it right.
Right.
There's no right.
Right.
And so everyone has a different flavor set in their mouth, or what they expect, or their tolerance for sugar or acid or tannin or who knows what. Everyone's going to like something different.
Right.
And I tell people, look, if you don't like something, pour it out. You won't insult us.
Right.
Because I want you to try a bunch of things here. Right. Here's what's happened. People didn't believe me in that. And then they went to Safeway and opened like 10 bottles of wine. And Safeway got all pissy.
Right, yeah, they don't like that.
What are you doing on the floor of the aisle with 10
Yeah.
open bottles of wine?
Yeah.
And you know what they said?
What?
It's not $950. Go away.
Yeah.
This is California.
Right.
And we're proud.
Yeah, I think, anytime you're trying different wines, it's okay not to like it because maybe you find that one wine that's your new favorite.
You won't know unless you try.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like the same 3 flavors of oatmeal has got to wear you out.
Right.
So.
Come and see Mike, Crystal Basin Cellars up here in Apple Hill, or you can visit them at the Folsom location. The tasting room is open in historic Folsom.
Yeah.
And Crystal Basin Station.
CrystalBasin.com.
There you go. Come and check it out. It's one of our favorite wineries in Northern California. I'm Rex on the road.